Hello viewers, students and my beloved listeners at home. I welcome you once again to Rosa Miska High School. I'm teaching on air. And today we shall have a physics lesson. And I'm your teacher, Mr. C.I Omeje. So you are welcome. Over there you can see the topic, series AC circuits. Before coming into this topic, students, I believe you are already familiar with DC, that's direct current, and electromagnetism. That will help you in this subject and topic we have today. These are the specific objectives. So I believe that by the end of this lesson, the students should be able to establish the phase relationship between current and voltage, mention two types of reactants, even explain it, and also calculate impedance in an AC circuit, determine power in an AC circuit, state conditions for achieving resonance in an AC circuit, and equally solve numerical problems in an AC circuit. So I came with some instructional materials. I believe you're already familiar with resistors, capacitors, but what of this? This is a signal generator, which is alternating in nature. It generates alternating current and voltage as the output. Okay. So help us in this topic. We have some topics that will guide us. We shall be taking them one after the other. So there we have the phase relationship between current and voltage in an AC circuit, a purely capacitive circuit, which is a circuit, an AC circuit made of only a capacitor, purely inductive circuit, then determination of current, and so on. By way of introduction, what is alternating circuit? An alternating circuit is a circuit in which alternating current or voltage flows. And that reminds me, what is alternating current? Let's define it. An alternating current can be defined as the current which flows sinusoidally with time. It is a periodic sine function and also it depends on time. It flows periodically with time. The same way we can define alternating voltage as the voltage which flows periodically with time in an AC circuit. It can easily be represented with a sine function. So, look at the board. If you have current, that is the alternating current being equal to I subscript not sine Wt. We can call it equation 1, and then for the voltage V naught sine bracket Wt. Alright? In equation 1, you can see this is the representation for the alternating current. This is the peak or maximum value of the current. Omega here represents the angular frequency measured in radian per second, t is time. Here you have the voltage. This is the instantaneous voltage, the voltage at any particular point in time. This is the peak value of the voltage, and then the other thing are the same. Very soon, we shall look at the definition of the alternating, the peak alternating current, and then that of the voltage. So, this value here, I subscript 0, represents the peak value, or you call it the maximum value for the AC alternating current. Likewise, the other one, V sub 0, is the peak voltage. Peak voltage, yes, you can also call it maximum voltage in an AC circuit. Now, very quickly, we shall look at the graphical representation of the two quantities, the current and the voltage on the vertical, then on the horizontal, we have time. How do we draw this? I told you it's a sinusoidal wave function. It starts from the origin, it moves up, comes down, and it continues periodically with time. What is the period? The time taken for one cycle to be completed. From 0 point to this is the T, that is the first period, and then you have second period, etc. This value here is the peak value or the maximum. From your idea of waves, you can even define it that amplitude is the maximum displacement from the starting point. So the peak value still represents the amplitude for the current and voltage. Because of our time, I have to put it together. But I want to also show you something important. Coming down to the negative part of this graph, you can equally see another maximum value. Okay? The value is going to be minus sign for the current and for the voltage, signifying another way in which you can obtain peak. Unlike what was observed in DC circuits, whereby the current and voltage only flew in the same direction parallel to the time axis, and the current or the voltage in DC were moving in the same direction. But here, you can see there is alternation from both sides, the upper, that is the positive, and then the negative. We move further, and here we have the graphical representation of what I have told you exactly. Take back to what you have learned in waves. This W here, I told you, is called angular frequency. It's represented as 2 pi f. It's a relationship. So you can even modify the formula. You can modify the formula to take this shape as I naught sine 2 pi ft. Take note, you shall see that later. Then we have that in an AC circuit that contains only a resistor R, this is how you present the alternating source, call it AC source, which is transmitted at a particular voltage and frequency. In this circuit, the current flows. This is how you present the current. And then we have found out that the current and the voltage are in phase. In that circuit, the current and voltage are in phase. How do we draw that? Look at this graph. If this is the current, it continues, label it I. The voltage will start exactly the same point, though the amplitude might vary, but I'm going to explain what's going to happen in this graph. Okay, you observe how it's going, and then it's continuing like that. Remember, with time. These two are in phase. The current and the voltage are in step or phase. What does that mean? They started from a particular point, the origin, at the same time. They completed their maximum at the same time, even the maximum in the negative direction. So they are in unison. They are uniform in amplitude and everything. So in this case, this is what we have: the voltage and the current and the phase. Where you have R, that resistor in an AC circuit. Then we move over to purely inductive circuit. We are going over to a circuit that contains only an inductor. And in this case, we have this. The source is still there, and then this signal that looks like S represents the alternating source. This is inductor. What is an inductor? An inductor is a device that stores energy in form of magnetic field. So it stores magnetic energy. And each time current flows through an inductor, there is always a back EMF produced. And that is in line with Lenz law of electromagnetism, which states that the current produced in the magnetic field flows in such a way as to oppose the source producing it. That's why, in this case, the inductor gives you back EMF. So there's a reduction in the current flow. That's why here we have that voltage leads the current by 90 degrees. The voltage through the inductor, represented as VL, leads the current through the inductor, L, by 90 degrees. You can see that. The movement from here to here, you have already covered 90 degrees. So if you go back to equation 2, there will be increments in the formula for the voltage. So it becomes V is equal to V naught sine, put a bracket, WT plus pi over 2 radians. That is 90 degrees. Whereby the current is lagging, but the voltage has incremented to this value. Then the phase is what we are going to see next. The phase relationship in an inductive circuit. How do you draw the phase? In this case, I told you the voltage is leading the current, so it's completed maximum before the current started. And if you watch this graph, they are not in unison, so they are not in phase. This is for the voltage, and then the current is this one. This is 0 point. You can see the distance from here to here is the phase difference. It shows you the phase difference between the voltage and the current, and the voltage is leading, which is still evident in the formula here. Alright, move ahead. Then sometimes the vector representation is equally good. So with this, we can explain this and this. They are the same thing. Just that this is the vector representation, this one is the phasor representation, but they are saying the same thing. Then you have an AC circuit that contains only a capacitor. This time around, you eliminate the inductor and put a capacitor. This is the symbol for capacitor, and you have this. You put C there. By the way, what is a capacitor? A capacitor is a device that stores electric charge, so it has electrical energy embedded. Okay, in this case, since capacitor stores charges, there are more currents accumulated in it. So in this time around, current will be leading the voltage by 90 degrees. The representation for the vector diagram goes like this. You have the voltage for the capacitor going downwards. This is I subscript C. That's the current through the capacitor, and then the angle established is 90 degrees. Look at how we depict that. This is a vector representation of current and voltage relationship when you have a purely capacitive circuit. So here, you see the current is leading. The arrow tells you that. From here, we move over to the phasor relationship for capacitor circuit. This time around, I told you the current will be leading the voltage, unlike what you observe in inductive circuit. This will represent the voltage, then the current began earlier on. It goes like that. So this is for the current, IC, then this second one here is your VC. So there is a path of phasor difference. You check it on the vertical from here to here. This is origin. So the two are still telling us that in a purely capacitive circuit, the current is leading the voltage by 90 degrees. And then the formula changes. If you go back to the foundation, that's the first two equations I gave you. You're going to have that the current takes this form now, sine bracket Wt plus 90 degrees. And that is how we know, while the voltage still remains the same. The voltage doesn't change. Wt plus nothing. So it's just Wt. It doesn't change. So the equation changes because of the explanation I gave you here and how current is leading the voltage by 90 degrees. So we shall be moving further, and we have the phasor relationship over there, and then I've equally explained the vector relationship. That is the vector diagram between the voltage and the current. Because of our time, we move over to reactants. Yes, if you remember, it's part of our special objectives. That before the end of this class, the student should be able to define reactants and also see how they apply in an AC circuit. So we quickly start reactants, and we have about 3 different conditions there. What is reactants? Students, I believe you are familiar with resistance. They sound alike and they have something in common. In this circuit, you have resistance, which is the opposition to the flow of current brought about by what? A resistor. I know you know that. But today we have reactance, which is still measured in ohms, just like your resistance, measured in ohms, and the symbol that we shall be using in this topic is X. So when you see X, although depending on where it is, but generally we shall be using X to represent our reactance. By definition, reactance can be defined as the opposition to the flow of current in an AC circuit brought about by either a capacitor, an inductor, or both put together. So over there in the diagram, we begin with the first one. You have RL circuit. What does that mean? You have a circuit that contains R and L. What does this mean? The resistor and inductor, all in series. Remember, the source is still the same. AC source, frequency, and wave. The wave of the, what's it called? Voltage. Alright? Move ahead. Remember from your Ohm's law, if you have two components in series, their voltage drop will be independent. So you have VR here and then VL there. What does it represent? Voltage drop across R, voltage drop across L. Then in these circuits, I'll rather explain it now so that when we move further, it will be easier for you to merge them together. In this circuit, what happens? The current is not just going to be V equal to IR. No. It's no longer Ohm's law. It's an extension. So we need to get the effective value of the opposition known as reactance. So here, the reactance is going to give us, okay, we'll start with the voltage. The effective voltage V is now the V squared will give you square of R plus V square of L. Okay? Then, this inductor independently introduces what is called inductive reactance. How is it defined? Inductive reactance can be defined as the opposition to the flow of current brought about by an inductor, and it is still measured in ohms. Of course, you know resistance, so I won't bother you with that. Then, inductive reactance independently is given us by experiments or calculations. We have found out that the value is 1 over, that is XL being equal to 2 pi FL. What does it represent? F is still frequency and then L is the inductance of the inductor measured in Henry. It is written H. Henry, unit of inductance of the inductor. You can equally go back and rewrite it as WL. So take note, the inductive reactance can be expressed in these two ways. What again is happening here? Remember, the value for the current can be established the moment you get that V is equal to Ix. I told you, X represents the reactance now, not just the resistance. So X, how do you transform that? Okay, let's say you want to get the current, just make I the sum of the formula V over X. With this, you can calculate the current flowing in this circuit. So along the line, I'll still make some explanations. Okay, the effective value for the reactance here will give you X being equal to XL minus the R. Yes, minus okay, I'll come back to it. Let me not bore you with that now. At the right time, we shall look at it further. So over there you can see the formula for finding the resistance of the resistor if it were just only the resistor in the circuit. But this time around we have equation number 5, which I've already explained, and then that of equation 4 is for capacitance of the capacitor and how the capacitive reactance works. So if you now replace the inductor with a capacitor, watch what I'm going to do. This is the symbol for capacitor. The V becomes VC. This time around, what happens in this circuit? You will observe that there will be new development. So the formula for the voltage, the effective value of the voltage changes to V squared of R plus V squared of C. And capacitive reactance written as X subscript C is equal to 1 over 2 pi Fc, which is equally 1 over Wc. By definition, capacitive reactance can be defined as the opposition brought about by a capacitor placed in an AC circuit, still measured in ohms. We don't joke with units in physics. I believe I've done justice to what you can see there. We'll move ahead. Impedance. Okay, one more thing. We can equally have maybe a special type of reactance. In that circuit, you just have R, your resistance of the resistor, connected with the inductance of the inductor, L. You know, I've talked about this, the capacitance and the inductance. That's what I mean. In this case, it's a simple circuit. Everything reduces to almost normal. Okay, this is still your AC source, frequency, and the voltage. This is the capacitor C. Here, if you have to find the value of the effective voltage, the effective voltage is VL minus VC. Yes, later on in the lesson, I'll show you how we can arrive at all this formula I've given you. The effective value for the reactance is XL minus XC. Please do not confuse yourself with my C and L. Alright. So impedance is the next thing you have there in our subtopic. Impedance. This is the first time you hear about impedance. So let's define it. Impedance is represented with the letter Z, still measured in ohms. Alright? No. Consider a given RLC circuit. Alright? RLC circuit, and we have our source unchanging V and F. This is L and C. In this circuit, I mean to say, we have 3 components or 3 elements. These 3 elements are actually called passive devices or passive elements. What does that mean? They are incapable of delivering voltage to this circuit. Alright? So resistance, inductor, and your capacitor do not deliver voltage to the circuit. They are called what? Passive devices. Unlike your battery and transistor that can deliver current and voltage, known as active devices or elements. So that's by the way. As we continue, here we need to find the equivalent value of the reactance. Yes, none called impedance. By definition, impedance can be defined as the overall opposition to the flow of current brought about by a mixture of resistance, inductor, and capacitor in an AC circuit. I believe you still remember what I meant by AC circuit, alternating circuit. Okay. From here, we might ask, how do we derive the formula for the impedance? How do we get the current in this circuit? The overall voltage in this circuit is given as V squared, then V squared of R plus, open a bracket, V of L minus V of C, all squared. This is for the voltage. If you want to get impedance, have Z, I'll show you from a chart. That's the next thing which I'm looking at, how to get them there using your Pythagoras theorem. You move from known to unknown. You have your R, remember if I square here, I have to square this side, plus XL minus XC all squared. Then for the current, with your basic idea of Ohm's law, V is IR, so it's going to change. This changes to V being equal to IZ. Instead of ordinary R, we replace the word Z. Now have a combination of R, L, C, all inside your Z. The time we discuss reactants, we say you are going to have V equal to IX. Remember I said it? So you see how they are changing from reactants to impedance. So you can clearly see this is for the effective voltage in this circuit, then Z is for the impedance of the circuit. And also take note, the voltage drop here are different. VR is different from VL and also different from VC. From there, we'll continue. This is a time varying voltage, so continuously they will be changing. Alright? Move ahead to the next one. Remember what I've told you? Impedance is the overall opposition to the flow of current in a mixed AC circuit. Okay. Here we have determination of current in an AC circuit, and exactly what I have told you, because we don't have much time to dwell on this again. Now, an AC circuit containing resistor and a capacitor. Resistor and capacitor. I've briefly talked about this, but the reason why I want to stress on this more is to show you the vector and phasor diagram. So, in an AC circuit, if you have your resistance, the resistor and capacitor, R and C, okay, R and C, this is our C. Remember the source is still there. Then the source changes, then have this frequency and F. So here, by the left side of that chart, you see the phasor diagram. The currents are made to flow in the same direction as the voltage through the capacitor, through the resistor, yes, the voltage through the resistor, and then you have the voltage through the capacitor. The angle here is 90 degrees. You draw a diagonal, which will later become a hypotenuse. Put an angle here called phase. This is Greek symbol phi, but it represents the phase angle. What do I call it? Phase angle. Okay. Let's come back. Remember how we started. We said that normally, if you have ordinary R circuit, that's a purely resistive circuit, the current and the voltage are in phase. See how they're in the same direction? That's showing they are in phase. Then, by introduction of the capacitor, the current will be leading the voltage. The current is leading the voltage by the angle of 90 degrees, and with the help of extrapolation, we complete here. This is going to be our VC again. So with it, you can calculate the formula, you can express the formula for this phase, and the phase angle, tan phi, we use tan. Remember, tan is just opposite over adjacent, simply y over x, that's ordinary. But here we now have the V, that's tan phi again. It's going to give you the vertical, which is VC. You can see my hand over VR. So to get the angle, take the tan inverse of the other side. Okay. Move over to the next slide. So, from that circuit, you can see the formula, which I've already explained. The first one there is for the effective voltage, then impedance, and going down to the last we have for the phase. Then an AC circuit with resistor and inductor. Resistor and an inductor in an AC circuit. How does it work? It will be faster now. You have your L. Okay? Some things will change as well. Some things will change. This time around, the voltage through the inductor is going to be vertical, VL. Okay? Then R is still where it is. This time you have voltage leading the current and VR by 90 degrees. Put up this line. Here is your phase, and then to establish the phase, you just say tan phi. I told you, vertical over horizontal, VL over VR. Take the tan inverse and you have it. Then for the current, remember, the first thing is to get the effective voltage, and then current will follow. Then for the phase, you can still go ahead and draw this, but we've already talked about it. This time around, voltage is leading the current, so the voltage has completed maximum before the current started. This is for the voltage of L, and then the second one is for the current. So clearly you can see that for the effective voltage, you have that effective voltage written here V. By Pythagoras theorem, the square of the hypotenuse V squared, the opposite is here, your VL squared plus then horizontal VR squared. So by Pythagoras theorem. And through this, you can get the formula for your impedance effective, which is R squared, because we are talking about RL plus then XL squared. Okay? Current will not be difficult to get with the help of Ohm's law. V is equal to IZ. Then we'll talk about, you are going back to impedance. Alright? We're going back to impedance briefly. Look at the formula and how to draw the phasor diagram. This time around, you have your vector of the capacitor pointing downwards, VC. Then draw a line for that of inductor VL upwards. Alright? Then VR is still where it is, and your current. Put the diagonal phase angle 90 degrees. Complete this phase. Now, by your knowledge of vector resolution, you can see that this one is pointing upwards, downwards. The difference will be the higher one minus the lower one. So from here to here is your VL. Then from here to here is your VC. So the higher one VL minus VC. That is your knowledge of vector resolution. Then the effective value is here. For us to get everything, just play around with Pythagoras theorem. I'll do the first one and I'll go to the next thing. V squared is the square of this one and plus the square of this one. So you have V squared of R plus, open a bracket, because there are two terms there, VL minus VC, all squared. Alright? For the impedance, the same thing. The impedance, the phase diagram for the impedance changes on to Z. No. This is Z, the effective value. This is your XL. This one becomes XC. Then this changes to R. And then the difference, which I've also explained, higher one minus lower one, give you XL minus XC. And Z becomes, no. Impedance, yes, Z squared. Square of hypotenuse is equal to square of, I can give it R squared plus, open the brackets, XL minus XC, all squared. For the current, V is equal to IZ. So once you have these two, you can easily get the current. So these are the formulas of what I have shown you how to derive. Started with the effective voltage, then the current will factor out, you have your Z. Then if you look at equation 21, you may not bother yourself with everything inside that radical or the square root. You can solve them separately and then come back and substitute. We are moving over to power in an AC circuit. Why do we need power? Okay, you can hear me very well because I am exhibiting some power. Yes, the time rate at which work is done is called power. You can equally say the time rate at which energy is consumed. So the bulb here are consuming power, likewise the fan I'm using, and every other thing. So power in an AC circuit. Power in an AC circuit. Power is expressed as a product of current times voltage. Here we are looking at the the effective value or the root mean square value of the two. By the way, have I told you the meaning of root mean square value? We observe that in DC, current only flows in the same direction, no variation, there is no change. Voltage against time, even current against time. But you have seen today that in an alternating circuit, they are sinusoidally changing with time. So can you imagine if your voltage supply is constantly varying, maybe every minute of time is constantly varying, we observe that most of the appliances will destroy. That's why sometimes your television gets burned and then everything. That's why we need the root mean square value. If you take the square root of the average of these values here, you get a single value appearing like DC. That's the meaning. The root mean square value, square root of the mean of the sum of these voltages will give you back direct voltage. So, by definition, the root mean square value of current or voltage is the steady state or the steady value of the current or voltage that will produce the same heating effect in the resistor just like a direct current. This is the first formula we shall be using. And then P is also I squared R. Okay? Remember RMS value. Power is only lost or dissipated in a resistive circuit. For a pure inductor and capacitor, there is no power dissipated. How does it work? If you go back, okay, there's another formula which I'm not giving you, that P is equal to IV cos phi. Alright? Yes, cos phi. You can equally use theta, but we are talking about the phase angle. The phase angle. Okay, don't bother about that theta, they are saying the same thing. So, back to business. I want to show you how power is not lost or dissipated in a capacitor circuit or inductive circuit. You have this phase diagram or vector diagram. The current is here for capacitor now, and the voltage is here. And I told you the current is leading by 90 degrees. So, can you help me and take the value of cos 90? You will get 0. This is for capacitive circuits, okay? If you go to inductive circuit, the voltage is still leading the current again by 90 degrees. This is sign of leading. Always put the arrow. Shows how it's going. The value of this angle here is 90 degrees at right angle. Then take the cosine of 90 again, you have 0. You see, students? If you put 0 here in this equation, if you put cos 90, which will give you 0, everything vanishes to 0. That's how we know that there is no power lost or dissipated in a capacitive circuit or in an AC circuit, in a capacitive or inductive circuit. This one is inductive. Okay. If you go back to the representation I gave you for impedance, where you have that of the voltage, you have your VL, VC here. With this, you have your phase, total or effective value, then VL minus VC. If you resolve this vector, you take a vector treatment, resolving this V toward the horizontal line, you are going to get VR to be equal to V cos phi. V cos phi. So you can equally use V cos phi and eliminate your VR. That's how we can establish another formula that power is the current IRMS, okay? This is the voltage through the voltage of the resistor. You can now put the effective voltage VRMS, then cos what? Phi. And this is a more general formula for power in an AC circuit. Take note of this. This is a more general formula in an AC circuit. Yes. Then, I've already told you about passive and active devices. Don't confuse yourself with the two. Before your head. Then, maybe you can ask me, teacher, why is it that, okay, resistance dissipates power? That's very good. I told you that in resistive circuit, purely resistive circuit, the current and the voltage are in phase. See, they're in phase or in step. There is no angular difference. So the angle between them is 0. And cos 0 is even maximum. It's 1. It's maximum. So with that, we come over to the numerical examples and questions in our topic. I hope you have been enjoying the lecture the same way I'm doing. So let's roll together. The first example there is requiring us to go back to equation 1. What we established that the alternating current is given as I naught sine bracket WT. And I told you to remember that it can take another form, which I'm doing already. In the first question, you are asked to determine the value of the peak current, the frequency, and the IRMS value. So, I told you, to solve this question, recall the general form of alternating circuit. That's the equation I have here. Let's call it 1. By transforming W, put 2 pi f, and then the one they gave you is 35 sine 100 pi t. Compare 1 and 2, compare equation 1 and 2, you see that I naught gives you 35 amperes. Please don't forget to put units this time you solve question in physics. Then comparing this part will give you that F is, of course you can see the solution, F will give you 50 Hertz. And for the IRMS value, the root mean square value of the current is the I naught divided by sub 2. So since you have gotten I naught divided by sub 2 and you have your answer there. Next example. This time around, we shall take a good look at the diagram because everything they said in the question can be represented with the AC circuit diagram. So there we have 100 ohms connected with a capacitor, and then you have the source. The capacitor is 20 microfarad, and the voltage source is 220 volts. Frequency is 50 Hertz. Remember the source. Okay? Here you are asked to determine calculate the reactance. So I will solve the first part of the question and you can easily get along with the rest. The first part you have XC. The formula is 1/2 pi FC. Before we start, you need to make some conversion. What is this? Micro. This symbol nu is called micro. The value is 10 to the power -6. So you must convert that. Subsequently, you need to always take note of some multiples and multiples. Put them in here. Take pi to be 3.142. It's a constant. And after the substitution, we are going to arrive at 159.13 ohms. Don't forget to put the unit. After that, you have the impedance, called the 2 circuits. R is there already. Then taking down to the power. Remember, I told you power is only lost in the resistor. Okay. Now the next question is class work. Okay, we can do it easily. Just look at the value, then come back to the equation which I've given you. You expect to get 10.6 amperes as your answer. Then last but not the final question there is number 4. And you are asked to determine the capacitive reactance, inductive reactance, and the impedance. So in that question, you need to solve them separately first. Then you substitute into the impedance. That's the formula for finding impedance. This time around, your XC is still the same formula you are going to apply. And take notes, there are some conversions there. You see that the inductance of the inductor is given in what? Henry. There you have 20 millihenry. So I've told you milli means 10 to the power -3. Henry, okay, -3. That's a good conversion there. Then after that, 1/2 pi FC. A good substitution, what I substituted, the frequency is given to be 50 Hertz. The voltage, that's the effective value of the voltage, is 240 volts. And then the capacitance of the capacitor is 500 microfarad. So C is 500 microfarad. This is the symbol. Convert this, you have 500 times 10 to the power -6, then F. Bring it back here, and you're going to arrive at the final answer. That's a very good substitution. You have your 6.365. 365 days in in a year, isn't it? That's good. Then next question there, you have your XL, 2 pi FL. I've already told you, I've converted your L, put it here, the frequency is unchanging, still 50 Hz, and you have 6.284 ohms. Unit of your reactance always in ohms. The last is Z. What does it mean? Impedance. You only have a combination of this and this, so you have that's this capacitive reactance and inductive reactance. Then you have your XL squared, okay, plus. Okay, let me begin with R squared plus brackets XL minus XC all squared. Yes, the impedance of the circuit. Then the R, did they give you R? You have 100 ohms. So I'm going to substitute that R is 100 ohms. So a very good substitution will give you approximately the value of resistance, 100 point something ohms. So students, I believe it's not difficult for you. Since you have gotten your XC and XL, please don't confuse yourself. Okay, this is your XC, yes, and then this is XL. Just quickly substitute them here and punch very well. You arrive at the answer. Now, that reminds me, we don't talk about resistance in an AC circuit. Resistance are generally the same way in physics, either in sound or mechanics. Now, for resistance to occur in an AC circuit, the condition to be met is that the inductive reactance must be equal to capacitive reactance. This is the only condition that will make it possible for resonance to occur in an AC circuit. And if that happens, we are going to obtain what is called the resonance frequency, which is giving us 1/2 pi square root of LC. Take note, L is inversely proportional to the square root of LC. That means it depends only on the value of the inductance of the inductor and the capacitance of the capacitor. Equally, we have this 1/√LC. When you bring this over here, you have 2 pi F naught given as this. Then, how is this applied in our home appliances? Look at your radio set. How do you tune to a particular station? We have a station maybe placed here 90.0 megahertz, okay, to see how resonance is important. And there is a bandwidth as you tune. Before you can get to this frequency, maybe you start tuning from here, there will be noise. But the moment you coincide with the frequency, no noise will be observed. At that point, the current is maximum in the circuit. So that's why from the curve, at the resonant frequency, the current is maximum. Then as you leave the station and descends, you begin to hear more noise. So these are the region of higher frequency and higher resistance. The same thing is high this way. But coming to this region, the resistance is almost minimum. And the impedance reduces to R. It can be an exam question. Show how Z reduces to R. Very simple. Z is equal to the square root of R squared plus XL minus XC squared. Since these two items are equal, first condition, their difference is 0. So put 0 there, you have Z turning down to R. So since these numbers are equal, their difference is 0. And you have this. So it's a good way. So it's a good way to maybe develop your interest in the area. So there you have the charts and everything I've said. So by way of summarizing this lecture, we have looked at simple alternating circuit, where we discussed alternating current and alternating voltage. And how did it start? It was Tesla who developed alternating current and voltage, because Thomas Edison gave us direct current, but Tesla wanted something that can go far away, long distances. That's one good advantage of alternating current over alternating voltage. You can project or transmit alternating current and voltage over countries, can go global, unlike DC. That's why I only showed you how you can use a signal generator to produce current and voltage. And we talked about the power in an AC circuit. Power is only lost in what? Resistor, not in the capacitor and the inductor. The resonance is also there, very important. It helps us in tuning to a particular station in our radio set. Okay? The applications in medicine, the doctors use the signals from the heart, which is alternating, to study the pathological condition of the heart. And then in industry, and everything. Of course, the fan is working because of AC circuit. I'll have some assignment for you. So it's quietly is over there projected, so you can do that as soon as possible. If you have any question or challenge, you can still get me via my email. So students, I believe you have enjoyed the lecture, and remember, very soon more lessons will be coming up. I want you to always get ready, get prepared. There is no time to waste. Thank you for listening and have a nice day. Stay safe.